So usually when we talk about a simple math equation, there is this expectation of absolute precision.
Right, like it's totally set in stone.
Exactly. You
Yeah,
know, you hold up one apple, you hold up another apple, and you have two apples. 1 plus 1 equals 2.
it's clean, it's binary.
Yeah, and honestly, it's comforting because we just really like things to be fixed. But what if 1 plus 1 doesn't actually have to equal 2?
Wait, really?
Yeah. What if, I mean, depending on the exact dimension from which you observe those apples, 1 plus 1 could equal 0, or 3, or, I don't know, even 7.
Wow. I mean, that just sounds like a broken calculator.
It does. But if you actually lean into that discomfort, that apparent logical glitch, you kind of find yourself at the doorway to a radically different understanding of human intelligence.
Okay, I am intrigued.
Which is exactly what we're exploring in today's deep dive. We've got our hands on some fascinating translated excerpts from a text by Wefeng, and it's titled 36 Bagua Array, the Array of Thinking.
The array of thinking. Okay.
Yeah, and the fundamental premise here is wild. The author argues that the literal dimensions of your thoughts completely dictate your reality.
Your reality, like physically.
Yes, and that our daily suffering, our stress, our absolute worst roadblocks, they are just cognitive limitations.
Oh, wow.
So today we're going to explore how this text basically serves as an ultimate manual for problem solving. It blends geometry, mathematics, and this huge cosmic spiritual hierarchy.
Well, the first thing to understand here is that the author forces us to completely redefine intelligence. Because, we typically view thinking as the internal monologue in our heads.
Right, like the voice talking right now.
Exactly. Or our ability to recall facts or how fast we can run mental calculations. But this text strips all of that away.
It totally throws it out.
Yeah, it proposes that true thinking, the kind that actually elevates your existence, is purely the ability to break conventional rules to solve problems.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the text provides some historical examples to ground this idea, and the one that really stuck with me is the story of Cao's 7-year-old son, Cao Chong.
Oh, the elephant story.
Yes, so you have this massive elephant, and the adults around it are entirely stumped about how to weigh the animal.
Because it's huge.
Right, you can't coax an elephant onto a standard weighing scale, and obviously you can't chop it up. So the conventional thinkers in this scenario are just completely paralyzed.
Oh, well, because they are locked into a direct linear relationship, right?
Mhm.
To them, the mechanism of weighing requires a scale,
Yeah.
and the object being weighed must sit physically on it.
Mhm.
That's just a rigid rule of their reality.
But the 7-year-old child looks at the problem differently. He doesn't just stare at the elephant in the scale. He introduces a completely foreign element.
A river?
Exactly. He puts the elephant on a boat, marks the waterline on the hull, takes the elephant off, and then fills the boat with rocks until it sinks to that exact same waterline.
So brilliant.
Yeah, right. And then he simply weighs the rocks one by one. The text highlights this because the child literally broke the fundamental rule of direct measurement.
He established a totally new corresponding relationship using a medium.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is that the underlying mechanism there is identical to another historical heavyweight the text brings up, which is Archimedes.
Oh, right, with the crown.
Yeah, when he needed to figure out if a crown was solid gold or if it was laced with cheaper silver, conventional thinking dictated that he had to melt it down to see what was inside.
Which you obviously can't do to a king's crown.
Right. But by measuring the water displaced by the crown against a solid block of gold of the same weight, he completely sidestepped direct physical manipulation. He stepped outside the expected dimension of the problem.
You know, reading that made me think of being stuck in a classic 2D video game like Pac-Man.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah, you're constantly hitting the walls of the maze, stressing out about the ghosts chasing you, running down the same corridors. Conventional thinking is just trying to run faster.
Right, mastering the 2D plane.
Exactly. But unconventional thinking is realizing you have a neck, looking up at the player holding the joystick, and realizing there is an entire 3D world outside the screen.
You can just reach out and unplug the machine.
Exactly.
That's a great way to visualize it. And it maps perfectly onto the geometric concept the text uses to explain this, which is the Mobius strip.
Right. Let's talk about the ant.
So think about an ant walking on a slat, long strip of paper. In a standard two-dimensional reality, there is a top side and a bottom side.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
For that ant to get from the top to the bottom, the rules of its reality dictate it must either crawl over the edge or literally chew a hole through the paper.
But if you take that paper, give it a half twist, and connect the ends to create a Mobius strip, you've fundamentally altered the geometry of the ant's universe.
Exactly. The ant just keeps walking straight forward. And because of that twist in the spatial dimension, it effortlessly arrives on the bottom side without ever crossing an edge.
Wow.
The text uses this to build its core thesis. The level of a person's intelligence is entirely dictated by this specific kind of thinking ability. Can you perceive the twist?
And the author actually puts it in absolute terms. They write, with stronger thinking ability comes a higher level of life. And they capitalize life.
Right, all caps.
Yeah, it's not just a biological state, it's like a cosmic ranking.
And conversely, with weaker thinking ability comes a lower level of life. It is a strict correlation. The text argues that intelligence is not an IQ score, it's the dimensional scope of your thoughts.
So the wider your dimensional scope, the closer you get to a higher state of existence.
Precisely.
But if thinking dictates our level of life, it kind of begs the question, how do different life forms actually stack up against each other?
Right.
The text actually maps this out, categorizing life based on spatial dimensions.
It builds from the ground up. Take a caterpillar, for instance. The text categorizes a caterpillar's thinking as limited to a two-dimensional world. Its cognitive reality is just a flat plane of forward, backward, left, and right. It understands surface area, but not volume in a meaningful way.
Then you move up to plants, which exist in a three-dimensional world, but a static one.
Right, they can't move.
Yeah, they occupy volume, they grow towards the light, but they cannot move through that volume freely.
Which places them cognitively lower than animals who operate in a dynamic three-dimensional world.
That makes sense.
An animal running through a forest has a consciousness that must constantly account for a changing 3D environment. They hunt, they hide, they perceive depth and motion actively.
Okay, but this is where I actually struggled with the text's hierarchy, because the author then introduces birds.
Ah, yeah.
The text states that birds live in four-dimensional space-time, making them, quote-unquote, freer than land animals. But wait, a cheetah runs at incredible speeds, dodging trees, intercepting prey. So how is a pigeon flying in the sky fundamentally navigating time differently than a cheetah running on the ground? Why does altitude suddenly grant a fourth dimension? I thought we were at the top of the earthly food chain.
It's a really vital distinction to make. The text isn't suggesting birds have time machines,
Right.
It's proposing that by conquering gravity in a three-dimensional volume, birds introduce a z-axis of absolute freedom that land animals just lack.
Okay, I'm following.
A cheetah is bound to the topography of the 2D plane draped over a 3D Earth. But a bird navigates altitude, latitude, longitude, and the temporal calculation of intercepts in midair in a way that entirely frees them from the static ground.
Oh, I see.
The text equates this physical freedom from the Earth's crust to a higher dimensional interaction with space-time.
But then it places humans back in the three-dimensional world. That feels like a massive demotion. We build skyscrapers and airplanes. Are we really cognitively sitting below a sparrow?
Well, we physically reside in the three-dimensional world, yes. But the author introduces a profound loophole for humanity.
Thank goodness.
We possess something the bird doesn't, which is reason and rich imagination.
Ah, the text mentions we can extend sensory knowledge into the realm of reason.
Think about what that actually means. A bird might physically fly through the air, but its sensory knowledge is entirely bound by its immediate physical needs.
It's like finding food, avoiding predators.
Right. Humans, however, can sit in a static chair in a completely boring 3D room and use abstract mathematics to conceptualize a tesseract.
A four-dimensional cube.
Exactly. We can imagine the past, we can simulate the future. This ability to project our consciousness into the realm of abstract reason means our thinking is fundamentally stronger, even if our physical bodies are tethered to the ground.
So our minds are doing the flying.
Essentially, yes.
We can mentally step off the 2D plane. But, if human reason allows us to conceptualize these higher dimensions, it raises a massive question for me. Are there entities that don't just imagine higher dimensions, but actually live in them?
Oh, the author maps this out extensively. Once we establish our place on Earth, the text shifts our gaze upwards to this grand cosmic hierarchy. It categorizes thinking ability into 8 distinct progressive levels.
Yeah, the text lists them as material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, elusive thinking, visualized thinking, Tai Chi thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking.
It's quite a list.
It is. Now, material and associative thinking makes sense. That's like the boy using the boat to weigh the elephant.
Right.
But what in the world is Tai Chi thinking or holographic thinking in a practical sense?
Well, let's break down Tai Chi thinking first, because it's a brilliant concept.
Yeah.
It doesn't refer to the slow-motion martial art you see in a park.
Oh, okay. That's what I was picturing.
Yeah, it actually refers to a cognitive state of understanding profound, universal interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah, so a person using material thinking looks at a tree and just sees wood for a fire. A person using Tai Chi thinking looks at the exact same tree and sees the balance of opposing forces. They understand that cutting that tree alters the soil, which changes the water runoff, which affects a village downstream 10 years from now. It is the ability to see that pulling any single lever in the universe automatically moves another.
It's like systems thinking scaled up to the cosmos.
Exactly.
Okay, so then what is holographic thinking?
Holographic thinking is placed at the absolute peak. Think about a physical hologram. If you break a physical hologram in half, you don't get half the image.
You get two smaller, complete images.
Right. Every single piece contains the whole. Right. Holographic thinking is the ability to look at a single grain of sand and instantly comprehend the entire blueprint of the universe within it.
That is heavy. And the text associates these highest tiers of thought with higher life forms, right?
Yes, it mentions celestials, who operate in 4 dimensions or more. Then Buddhas and gods, who the author states traverse 36-dimensional spaces.
I mean, I can barely wrap my head around a 4th dimension, let alone 36.
It's beyond us. And at the absolute pinnacle is the greatest creator, operating in holography, whose thinking ability is described as completely inscrutable to us.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because this brings us to a deeply humbling reality check. The text points out that when a life form possesses lower dimensional thinking, their actions look utterly ridiculous to those above them.
Oh, completely.
It's like the classic fly in the window. You know, you watch a fly hurl itself against a pane of glass 20 times, buzzing furiously, trying to get to the sunlight. And you look at it and just think, just move 3 inches to the left where the window is open.
But the fly is trapped by its dimensional thinking. It literally cannot conceptualize the transparent physical barrier. It only processes the light.
Right. And the author argues that when these higher dimensional celestials look down at us, they feel the exact same way. We look like the fly hitting the glass.
Yeah.
And the text doesn't even use like war or pollution as its primary example of our foolishness.
No, it goes right for the everyday stuff.
Yeah, it uses social structure. Specifically, it points to how humans have been struggling within the confines of the institution of marriage and the traditional family for thousands of years.
It is such a striking example. The text observes humans endlessly repeating patterns of stress, conflict, and societal pressure within these deeply ingrained structures.
Right.
The author essentially asks, on behalf of the Celestials, if this way of life causes so much friction and suffering, why don't you simply change the structure?
Why do you keep headbutting the glass? And I want to ask you, listening to this right now, how often do you stress over family dynamics or societal expectations?
Probably every day.
Right. According to this text, you aren't just stressed, you're acting like an animal that doesn't realize it can just leave its cage.
The text fundamentally reframes human suffering here. It states unequivocally that human distress stems purely from human consciousness. It is your level of thinking that creates the friction.
Okay, so if the 3D rule-bound human existence is a trap causing our distress, how do we get out? I mean, we can't all just spontaneously evolve into 36-dimensional beings.
Well, this is where we arrive at the titular concept of the source material, the array of thinking.
Oh, right, the array. It sounds incredibly ominous, like some kind of digital prison we need to hack.
It does, but it's not framed as a malicious prison, though. The array of thinking is described as a vast, cosmic ecosystem. It is a system designed to confine all levels, types, and layers of life within specific dimensions.
Okay, so boundaries.
Yeah, it acts as a set of boundaries so that a life form's thinking cannot transcend the space-time of its specific existence. The text argues this is entirely necessary.
Necessary why?
Because it maintains what the author calls a wonderful diversity and an orderly hierarchy of life. Without the array, the cosmos would just be chaotic.
So it's like a cosmic quarantine. It keeps the caterpillar doing caterpillar things and humans doing human things. But what does this all actually mean for us? If it's a cosmic system meant to keep order and it's absolute, aren't you and I just fundamentally trapped here? Are we doomed to hit the glass window forever?
So, Here is the text's ultimate solution.
Mm.
You cannot dismantle the array of thinking. The cosmic sister itself is immovable.
Okay.
However, you are not trapped at your current coordinate. The text proposes that while you cannot destroy the array, you can elevate your own thinking to a higher tier within it.
Oh, so you can't break the video game, but you can level up your character so you unlock new abilities.
Precisely. If human suffering stems from human consciousness, the only real cure is to discard human thinking and adopt celestial thinking. You have to change your frequency.
And to give us a sense of what this celestial thinking looks like when it interacts with our world, the text points to what we historically call magic or miracles.
Yeah.
It specifically cites the miracles of Jesus.
Right. And the text frames those events not as like supernatural rule breaking, but as higher dimensional physics. It states these acts are simply beyond the reach of human thinking ability.
Think about it from a geometrical standpoint. If you have a 2D world, like a flat piece of paper, and you push a 3D pencil through it, the 2D beings on that paper just see a mysterious circle suddenly appear out of nowhere, grow, shrink, and vanish.
Right, it looks like literal magic to them.
But to us holding the pencil, it's just basic movement. The text argues that a 4D being curing an illness or multiplying food is just someone reaching into the box from a dimension we just can't perceive.
And the author also references entities called the super celestial beings of the Elysium Celestial Islands continent.
That is quite the title.
It is. The text claims these beings possess 64 kinds of divine abilities and can transform matter at will. Now, to human thinking, this is fantasy. But within the logic of the array, it is simply the natural byproduct of operating in a higher space-time dimension.
Which brings us to perhaps the most empowering takeaway in the entire text. The author states with absolute certainty that nothing is impossible.
Nothing.
Let that sink in. Nothing is impossible. There are only things that are beyond imagination and beyond the reach of one's current thinking ability.
So if a problem appears unsolvable to you right now, it is only unsolvable in the dimension from which you are viewing it. To elevate the quality of your life, you must shatter your adherence to established rules. You literally have to stop demanding that 1 + 1 = 2.
We started out by talking about the rigidity of math, and we've somehow ended up dissecting the architecture of the cosmos.
It's quite a journey.
But the practical application remains exactly the same. Intelligence isn't rote memorization. It is your willingness to expand the dimensional scope of how you ponder the world around you.
Exactly. So apply this to whatever you are facing today.
Yeah.
Maybe you are prepping for a notoriously difficult board meeting, or you're navigating a deeply entrenched conflict with a family member, or taking a massive exam.
Right.
The text challenges you to stop pacing the 2D maze. Ask yourself, are you trying to solve a four-dimensional emotional or logistical problem using two-dimensional conventional thinking? Are you trying to weigh the elephant by picking it up instead of just looking for the river?
You have to find your Mobius strip. You have
Yeah.
to step out of the array of conventional human thinking. But there's a brilliant piece of unresolved tension we have to leave you with today.
Oh, the ending.
Yes. The excerpt of Sweffing's text we've been analyzing concludes with a massive cliffhanger.
It really does.
The author explicitly writes, the following 8 points can help people escape from the array of thinking for human and enter the thinking realm of celestial and Buddha.
And then,
And then our translated excerpt just ends. It cuts off right before listing those 8 points.
it's kind of perfect, though. It inadvertently forces the reader to practice what the text preaches. You can't rely on the author's cheat sheet. You have to generate the higher dimensional thought yourself.
So based on everything we've explored today about abandoning rules, recognizing our own foolishness, and utilizing reason to touch the fourth dimension, what do you think point number 1 would be? What fundamental, unquestioned rule of your own reality, like 1 + 1 = 2, are you brave enough to break today?